Is he ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience, and happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there and all those who have played the role of father. We're so glad you're in the house, in your Father's house today. We're going to sing.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome. Your soul is welcome. Our souls are welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here, yeah. My soul is welcome here, oh yeah. My soul is welcome here, yeah. My soul is welcome. Well, don't you know that your soul's so welcome here? Well, my soul is welcome here. My soul, your soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
John Gardner in the house.
John Gardner, welcoming our souls here today. Good morning, Reverend Deborah. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning, Reverend James. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
And it looks like you are wearing a Father's Day tie.
Father's Day tie. This is a tie that some kids drew a painting, and then they turned the painting into a tie, and then they sell the tie to support an organization called Save the Children. So this Father's Day gave it to me, so I figured I'd celebrate. Whoever gave this tie to me so many years ago, I can't even remember, but I know I remember in spirit. I'll wake up in the morning and I said, oh, that's where I got that from.
And it's a very happy tie.
Yes, a happy tie.
And we are happy to greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in mosques, churches, temples, stone circles, and of course the beautiful temples of nature, because we know that there is no space that God does not grace. And if you're with us for the very first time today, either here in person or watching us online, we especially want to welcome you, because we know that you are not here by accident. We know that every one of us is here by divine appointment. And we're very excited to get together today. And of course, the excitement extends to when you silence your electronic devices, and please refrain from flash photography during the service.
Well, let's take this moment to keep our appointment that is always available to us of communing with the presence of pure spirit. For it's in this presence that is known by many different names. The master teacher used the word Abba, which meant Father, which really is a presence that is with us always. So we're grateful to this presence to be here to support us, uplift us, guide us. It contains all the qualities that we can ever imagine of peace and love and wholeness, vitality and vigor and creativity and wisdom. But most importantly, we are also the expressions of this presence. For we come from this presence and we are one with this presence. So let's take this moment to feel and sense our oneness with the Spirit of the living God that is more real to us than the chairs we're sitting in or the floor we're standing on. And as we make it the activity of our awareness in thoughts, word, and action, then we can say without a doubt that when you see me, you see the presence that sent me, for the Father, Mother God presence, and I are all one. For this and so much more, we're grateful and thankful as we go forth, anchoring these qualities in our life and in our world. Amen. Well, we have a very important purpose here at Spiritual Life Center that's reflected in our mission statement. And I invite you to join in as we affirm it together. To transform lives, to make a positive difference in the world as we love, serve, and remember. And we carry out those principles, that mission, through these 5 basic universal principles and make them the activity of our life to the very best that we can. And we operate from this perspective. Again, let's affirm them together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. We must take action.
And we have some action on Wednesday night. Wow, I am so excited about. Now, many of you probably know Cameron Lawson as our sound tech, the sound tech dude back there. But he has been with Unity forever, his whole life. And of course, he was very active and a leader in YOU. And, well, he's grown up. He is an accomplished musician. He's worked with his family for many years, but he's an accomplished musician on his own, and so he has agreed to do an evening for us this Wednesday night. And so we invite you to come. I don't know exactly what he's going to do. I've said just take it away, Cameron. And so he's going to sing for us. He's going to probably have us join in some singing. I think it's going to be a really neat evening. So I invite you all to come. The community meal is at 6, and the program starts at 7.
And I know it's going to be a wonderful experience because Cameron's just talented. He has a great soul. Also, just to let you know that it's going to be a series of events that are taking place in addition to Wild Wednesday that we are planning between now and September. And one of the first of them is going to be entitled Alive and Thriving Bingo on Friday, July the 14th for all the bingo enthusiasts. It's going to be here in person at Spiritual Life Center, so save the date. And we also have a full calendar of events that's going to be available at the Hub that'll list all the things that are taking place through now in September. And I think it'll be available this week or next week. And you can just take it home and just have it on your refrigerator to take a look at. And also all of the events will be on our website so you can keep track of what's going on.
Yeah, and I believe we are going to roll the whole thing out from up here next week. So, you know, if you're Laurel and Hardy fans, okay. Next week is the Laurel and Hardy group's A Fine Mess day that they come here and show a movie, and the movie this month is Sons of the Desert, and that's June 25th, which is next Sunday from 1 to 3:30. It'll be over in the annex, and you don't have to make a reservation. You can just show up and have fun.
Well, if you're interested in becoming more involved and engaged in Spiritual Life Center, we're going to have a membership information session that takes place today at 1 o'clock. You can attend either in person or on Zoom. The Zoom link is on the website. And we'll just let you know about how you can get fully engaged if that's your choice to do so. And we'll let you know what that means to engage as a community member of Spiritual Life Center.
And we always remind you that there are many activities here that foster transformation in our lives. And so you can check out we encourage you to check out our small groups and other offerings. And you can check out the happenings in the courtyard by going and reading the bulletin board or talking to the ladies at the Hub. And of course, you can always go to our website, and we try to put everything that's going on the website.
You know, one of the benefits of being part of a spiritual community such as Spiritual Life Center is the connections that people make with one another that often last for a lifetime. And we often have those take place with our workshops, seminars, social events, the bingo event like coming up. But you don't have to wait to an event to connect with someone. We invite you to connect with someone right here and right now. So in a manner that feels comfortable for you, just tell that individual, you are marvelous, glad you are here, and just feel and sense your oneness with them and with the presence.
Here's a song that Richard Burdick made famous when he wrote it. Holy God, move in me. You guys know this. Will Holy God move in me? Will Holy God move in me? That you may know my faith, I may know your grace. Will Holy God move in me? Holy presence live as me. Holy presence live as me. May it be an open vessel, channel of your dream. Holy presence live as me. I put my faith into action and know you're good in all I see. I'm powerful beyond measure with an awesome God moving through me. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. That you may know my faith, and I may know your grace. Holy God, move in me. Put my faith into action and know you're good in all I see. I'm powerful beyond measure with through me. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. You may know my faith, and I may know your grace. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be anywhere, really, but this is a good place to be.
We can always count on John for the comic relief. So as we settle into our chairs and prepare for meditation, we'll get into that beautiful heart space by speaking out loud together our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now as we prepare for meditation, we'll sing this beautiful chant affirming that we feel and know there is only one of us.
There is only one. Take a deep breath, relax back into your chair. And over the next few breaths, drop your shoulders, relax your hands, relax your eyelids, and allow your consciousness to drift up into a light daydream. You're standing on a busy street corner. Cars whiz past, people walk by, jostling your elbow or running into packages you might be holding. And you really need a moment of quiet to regain your composure and maybe have a chat with God about a few things. Across the street, you see a park. And so you weave through the cars stalled in the traffic jam and make your way toward a stand of tall trees. As you scroll along the path leading into the park, the noise recedes and you relax a little bit more. The trees ahead of you begin to resolve into an emerald green mist dancing in the middle of your path. As you come nearer, the mist gently reaches out and gathers itself around you, embracing you, welcoming you. An emerald-colored air gently swirls around you, clearing your mind and emotions, filling your heart center with peace. It's like coming home. The mist slowly fades away, and now you see that you are in a beautiful, beautiful park. The sky is deep blue, the temperature is perfect. And while it is quieter here, there's still a lot of activity. Birds sing and flutter. Flowers and trees sway in the breeze. Squirrels argue and chatter at blue jays. And crows complain about, well, everything. That sense of coming home stays with you, making you want a deeper, quieter moment, a chance to open up to your God. And you notice a lilac bush that is in full bloom, and beside it sits a bench, perfect for meditation. And as you near the lilac bush, it begins to resolve into a beautiful violet mist. And it dances in front of you, floating. And you feel it sending out gentle tendrils of violet energy as you approach, again inviting you in. And so you walk right into the mist, into deeper quiet. Again, it feels like home. The violet light dances and swirls around you, removing any lingering anxiety or concern. You are calm. You are clear. You are centered. The violet mist begins to slow its dance, and as it winds down, it softly, gently dissipates, and you are encircled in pure white light. There is no motion, no sound, no separation. There is only pure consciousness. In this moment, you release yourself and open to the pure light pouring into you in the deep, deep silence. You are full. You are secure. You are loved. You are one. Take a breath and gently begin to rise out of the silence. And as you become aware of your physical body, receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, this place of silence and light is your real home. Here is your safety, your support, your essence, your power, your love emanates from here. It never changes. It never stops. Come home whenever you want. The light is always on, ready to welcome you with open arms. Remember this, always.
Sometimes on this journey, I get lost in my mistakes. What looks to me like weakness is a canvas for your strength. And my story isn't over, my story's just begun. And failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Your failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Lay your burdens down here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door. You can't welcome anymore. You're in the Father's house. Arrival's not the end game, the journey's who you are. You never wanted perfect, you just wanted my heart. And the story isn't over if the story isn't good. And failure's never final when the Father's in the room. And failure's never final when the Father's in the room. Lay your burdens down here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door. Come in and you're welcome anymore. You're in the Father's house. Prodigals come home, the helpless find hope. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Prison gallows hang wide, the dead come to life. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Miracles take place, the cynical find faith. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. The Jericho walls are quaking, strongholds are shaking. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Said love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Ooh, hear your burden down. Check your shame at the door. You ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Ooh, lay your burden down. Ooh, in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Father's house. Thank you.
You're welcome very much. Thank you, John. It's almost like you never left. You know, like getting on a bicycle, as they say. Just come right on in. In our Father's house. There was a line in there, and I think it said, I don't know if I have it correctly, that said that those that shake your shame at the door, it's not welcome here anymore. I was thinking about a time that I was at a spiritual community, and after the service, you know, in the receiving lines, where someone had come up to me, and they had been there just for the very first time, and had never been exposed to this kind of teaching or philosophy. And they said, you know, I can't come back here anymore. I said, well, I got my attention. Well, why is that? They said, because I just don't feel guilty when I leave here like I do those other places I've been to. You know, I just can't take it. The vibration is just too high for me. I can't come back. I said, well, you might get used to it. Keep coming back. But I think it reminds us that we are part of a theology or a teaching that is a theology of joy. There are a lot of theisms out there, lots of theologies out there. But we have a theology of joy because we know in our soul this one loving presence, one loving power, one thing that is always supporting us. And it's almost impossible to have a connection with this presence and be kind of down in the mouth or feel downtrodden or upset, even when things are not going right, supposedly in our life. Even things are not going the way that we want them to. When there is a sincere connection or contact with this presence, or what, as John was saying, in that Father's presence, there is an inner peace, an inner joy that is always there because there's something that can take us over if we allow it. Well, today's Father's Day, and as Paula shared, we extend a joyous and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and as well as those mothers that played that role. You know, a lot of mothers played both roles, mother and father, in life. And so we thank them as well for, their energy and support. And I always know that, speaking on Father's Day and Mother's Day for others can be a little tricky, for someone in my position, because more than a few people sometimes come to me and say, I did not have a positive example of a father on earth. Or maybe my father, passed away when he was very young and I was very young, or I didn't get to know him. Or maybe he left, or maybe he had some abusive tendencies, and I didn't know who he was. So whatever the case may be, everyone did not have that positive experience. But the master teacher, Jesus, gave us another way to see what we meant by father. When he said, call no one on earth your father. There is one Father, one that you cannot see. It's an energy. It's a positive force that is always for us and never against us, and is here to help us realize our oneness with it. So as I was coming up with a topic for today, I was thinking about what to share, and what popped in my mind probably a month or two ago when I was coming up with talk titles for Paula. Paula always asked, what's your talk titles? What's your talk titles? I need to come up with music. And I said, okay, what do I talk about today? And so this parable kept coming up in my mind. And it's the story of the prodigal son. And this parable, of course, includes a father and his two sons and the relationship between and amongst them. And, of course, what the symbolic meaning of that story means for us. We look at the Bible, particularly, parables, as something that tells us a story about us. So we have to put ourselves in the picture because they're reflecting something about our own growth, development, and transformation. And in our philosophy, when we look at the names of people, the events that took place, they always symbolize some sort of change, some sort of transformation, some sort of awareness for us. So I'm going to share a summary of the Prodigal Son story. And just from my perspective, the James Trapp version of the Bible. So I imagine going back in time, and Jesus got his folks sitting around, and I can imagine that they're sitting around a campfire. That's not in the Bible, but I'm imagining that in my own mind. And he tells about a young man, and he's filled with ambition. He's filled with a feeling of restlessness, and he wants to conquer the world. He wants to get out of his small town that he's in, and he asks his father, I know I'm going to inherit some money, but I don't want to wait. Give me my inheritance right now. And the father, of course, very wise, probably says something, well, okay. And he did. And the young son went off to a journey. He was looking for adventure. He was looking for freedom. He went off into the far country, la la land, we would call it today. So the prodigal son engaged in a whole lot of excess in his living and, did engage in what I call riotous life. And he squandered all of his money and was partying and, made a lot of bad choices. And eventually the gig was up. He woke up one day and said, I have no more money. And you know what happens when the money leaves? So do all his friends. Or so he thought were friends. And it got so bad that he said, I'm willing to eat what the pigs have as a leftover. And he couldn't even get that. And it says at some point he came, in the story, he said, he came to himself. He decided that he wanted to return to his father and somehow get back in his good graces. And he began to rehearse a speech in his head. And he said, Dad, I screwed up. That's what he's talking to himself. He's not saying screwed up, but he's not going to use the word that he actually used. I no longer deserve to be called your son. But can you see this, the ability just to at least hire me back as a servant like your other servants there? He was going to seek forgiveness from his father, hopefully get back to being accepted by his father. And so he was heading back, trudging back with a heavy heart. He had a lot of guilt, a lot of regret, a lot of shame that he could not leave at the door. He was beating himself up. So he's made his journey back home, hoping that some way, some small chance, he would get some redemption. And to his surprise, something happened. As he approached home, his father saw him from a distance, and he ran up to him and just simply embraced him. He was overwhelmed with joy. Excuse me. So what happened? The father welcomed his lost son back. He welcomed him back with arms wide open. He expressed unconditional love and forgiveness. And he decided, let's have a celebration. So he said, let's have a feast. And they treated him like a celebrity. And the older brother was looking at this whole situation kind of side-eye. And he said, what is going on here? Here I am. I'm the faithful one. All this time I've been obedient. I never even got a ticket for reckless donkey driving, whatever they did back then. He's feeling a certain way. He's in his feelings. He's feeling resentful and angry and aggrieved, saying how unfair this is. And his father says to his older son, you've always been with me. Everything I have is yours. We should be rejoicing. Your brother was dead. Now he has come to life and was lost, and now he is found. And that's the end of the story. But we can glean, I believe, from that lessons for us, for our world, from that parable. The prodigal, that younger son, represents something. He represents that part of humanity that's often attached to the material, that seeks to get external validation, that seeks to get external affirmation, seeks to get external love outside of themselves. And as a result, he gets lured sometimes what we call the far country, and believes that that's where all the action is, and that will bring him satisfaction. I thought of a group of students. They were graduate students from a prestigious school, a business school, and they had come together for their 15th reunion. And they seemed to be destined when they graduated to have nothing but prosperity and bliss and all the good things in life. And by objective measures, they had an abundance everywhere, and they had apparent euphoria, and that became their reality based upon what we may measure as success. They achieved a level of achievement not seen by many peers at that time, and they were the elite of the elite. And most of them lacked nothing at all. You would say that they have the charmed life. But several of them were not happy. They made the external success and the acquisition the object of their existence. But often what follows temporary satisfaction for fulfillment on that level, anything outside of ourselves that we think are going to fulfill us, what follows that often is dissatisfaction. And our blaster teacher, Jesus, referred to this dissatisfaction when he was talking to the woman at the well. And he said to her, you're trying to get satisfaction. You want to drink from this water, and if you drink from this water, you're going to thirst again. But if you drink of this eternal water, you'll never thirst. I think, to put it another way, sometimes we can never get enough of something that we do not need. And so seeking satisfaction from the external or mere acquisition of things is like chasing the feather in the wind. The more one swats after it, the more it eludes us, and then satisfaction does not come. So I can relate kind of to the prodigal son, and it's part of my life that, I sought to get, success and fulfillment outside of myself, and none of that really worked. The dissatisfaction set in, and then I began to seek fulfillment in my own sort of riotous living, and my life imploded, and I've shared a little bit about that before. I didn't have to feed hogs for a living like they did in the prodigal son, but I had my own low point. But then I had my own wake-up call, and I began to see the light. I don't know if you remember watching, if you ever watched the Blues Brothers, the character played by John Belushi there at the back of the church, and then all of a sudden he says, "I have seen the light." And he starts doing flips through the church, and, I'm going to do that one day, and, shock y'all, Going down the aisle, flipping, doing backflips. But many of us have to go through this prodigal stage at some time or another. Maybe it's a necessary step for our own personal growth, where we have to go into the far country in order to grow back into the awareness that we are always one with the source. We're always one with that something where everything comes from, everything flows from, the fountainhead. There is no separation from that other in our own minds. Which brings us to the father in the parable. His response to his son is one of compassion. His response was one that did not have any judgment. His response symbolized unconditional love that is within and around all of us. It is unconditional, positive regard. Someone told me one time that God does not love me for who I am. I am because God loves me. And that applies to each and every one of us. We are because we are the expression of the love of God. And this love cannot change up on itself. Meister Eckhart said something to the effect that, I do not have to thank God for loving me. God can't help itself. That's his nature. So in the parable, the father stands unmoved by the so-called negative things the prodigal thought he had done with his life. The Father symbolizes that stability and ever availability of the presence that is not only around us, but is also always within us. It's forever and always and everywhere present. It is our so-called mistakes that are temporary. And these mistakes sometimes assist us in seeing who and what we really are. What we are, expressions of that divine love itself. So when we realize that, we can start releasing the thought forms of the ultimate mistake. What some people call the original sin, which I've always looked at as some sort of religious abuse. I always say, there's no such thing. Give me a break. Give up then. If that's, original, you can't do anything about it. We've been fooled for thousands of years that there's something called this original sin, and we're never going to make it. It happened, long time ago. It's original. That's all I can tell you. It's original. But we don't want to give up because there is no original sin. Because if God is all that there is, and yes, God is all that there is. If God is love, yes, God is love. And everything that there is a manifestation from the only thing that there is. There is no room for an original sin. There's only room for an original blessing, as Matthew Fox would talk about. And this original blessing is that we're made in the image and likeness of God itself. And absolutely nothing can stop that truth or separate us from the power and the presence and the love of God. We can separate, we can frustrate it. We may slow it down. You know, one of my teachers told me that what sin is nothing more than self-inflicted nonsense. It's stuff we do to ourselves. But when we come out and come up and wake up, like that prodigal son, we come back home with the realization of our oneness with the presence of God. And when we turn away from the belief of separation and embrace that oneness, oh, the very hills clap their hands with joy. But of course, we look at the older brother. He stayed home. In his mind, he was faithful, he was dutiful, he worked his father's fields and his farm, and he's saying, like I said, I did all these right things. I sacrificed. I never strayed. And look at this dude over here. He's nowhere around. I've been doing all the work. Now they're taking the work product that I came up with to give him a feast. And, he blows all of his money. He's living a life of debauchery. He's sullying up our name of the family. They give him the best clothes. He's got a big ring on his finger. He's got some designer sandals on. They're throwing him a feast with the most expensive food. They never threw a party for me. I'm the good one. There's something wrong with this picture, and I do not like it. Well, the older brother radiated jealousy and rage with anger. But here's the thing. While he did not go to the far country himself, he did get out of his sense of oneness. And in his bondage to obligation, he too was servant to a limited consciousness. By his jealousy, he indicates that at heart, he also is a prodigal. I believe that he probably secretly wanted to do exactly what his brother did, but he didn't have the courage to step out of his comfort zone that he was attached to. So behind the facade of respectability, he was bitter. He was cynical. He had his own transformation that he needed to go through in order to realize his oneness with the force, his oneness with the presence, his oneness with what we call the Father. Because when we hold energy of anger or envy, we block the flow of good in our own life. There's something that Apostle Paul said in Romans 8:2, and I always agree with what he has to say, but he said something to the effect, we're here to be set free by the law of spirit, from the law of sin and death. And I also wonder, what does that mean? And I believe that it means that when one is blessed, that's the law of spirit. The law of spirit says that if one is blessed, it benefits all of us. And the law of sin and death says that we believe that when one gains, another person loses. So we have to train ourselves that whenever we hear good, that we have to practice rejoicing in another person's good. We have to realize that our potential as children of God and this presence is dependent upon what we feel about other people. So we want to activate that law of spirit that says that one is blessed, all of us are blessed because we are interconnected on a spiritual level, a soul level. Now, this takes a modicum of training to break away from the hypnotic spell of self-inflicted nonsense or the sense of separation, and to fully embrace this idea that anyone that's lifted up, that we too are lifted up because we are interconnected on that spiritual level, that soul level. So sometimes in life we may have someone that, we don't like. Maybe on the human level we say, I can't stand that person. And then we hear some good fortune happening to that individual. Rather than say, why did that happen to them and not me? We have to sometimes force ourselves to say, okay, I got to do this. Congratulations. Bless you. And just get it out. And what we want to do is be soldiers of affirmation, positive affirmations. We want to continue to affirm. We want to declare that only positive qualities of the Spirit are there, and they're there for all of us. So any negative or what we call below the line energy begins to evaporate. So our life becomes in alignment with our oneness, with the goodness of God, the awesomeness of God, the dreams of our heart. And we remove all the things that are blocking the realization of this, including how we say and think about other people. Because I always like to say, they get the copy, we keep the original. So we don't want to say anything that's going to bring us down. And as I said, this is a theology of joy. As someone once told me that if you don't have a God of joy, you got a wrong God. Time to get a new God. So it's Father's Day. And, if we've had an earthly father that served us as a positive figure in our life, then we say, great. But if not, they were there for a purpose, so we forgive them and we take whatever they may have left and we help us build to another level. And we use that to move from being a stepping stone, to a tombstone to a stepping stone. And remember that statement that, on earth we may have earthly fathers, but our true Father, it lies in that presence, that force that is unchangeable, that is the power and the presence of love itself. So we go to that invisible realm where the original is, where the source is, and we throw our hearts wide open to it. That force, that love, intelligence that governs our grand universe is sending us an unchanging, eternal, cannot be changed message. And it's saying to us in so many words, I know who you are. You are the delight of God, brought up before the creations of our world. There's nothing that you can do to stop this presence from loving you, supporting you, encouraging you to be the best that you can be. Maybe we had to go to the far country for a while so we can grow back into the awareness of our oneness with this all good. Maybe we had to lose what we thought was important to realize that we had everything that we needed all of the time. So we're not afraid to meet the presence of God, no matter what we think we have done. And even after we've gone off to the far country, the Father presence is really saying, come on home. Because this presence has not moved. We've moved from God. God was waiting. We were late. We were late. I'm sure it's probably saying, if it could say in so many words, it'll be all right when they get here. For remember, it's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, which is ever-expanding good. In order to get back to that feeling of oneness, we must come to ourselves. We know God cannot do more for us than we allow the presence to do through us. So we got to be open. Because we know that this presence, the force, the divine, cannot make us healthy. It cannot make us happy. It cannot make us prosperous unless we let God be God in us. So like the prodigal son, we come to ourselves, we come on home, and we begin to feel the joy that has been there all of the time. Happy Father's Day. Peace. Well, next week we have a special guest speaker. You may have checked him out before because he's been here before, Charles Holt. And he's going to talk about Here's to Life, Finding My Groove Again. And just a little background, I'll share a little bit. He'll share more when he gets here. But, he had moved back to New York after he had been away, after 2 years after the pandemic. He went back to New York. And he had been involved in Broadway, but had been away from the stage for almost 20 years. And he was ready to celebrate, him getting back into his creative second act. And he said, I struggled to kind of find my footing into the grooves of my beloved endeavors, is what he says. But they didn't really fall in place the way that he thought. So he posed this question: what happens when we begin to question our chosen path? And how do we move forward to rediscover and live our purpose? So he's going to talk about that, but there's a little bit about Charles. He's obviously he's been brilliant as an actor. He performed on Broadway on many shows on Broadway, Smokey Joe's Cafe, Jesus Christ Superstar, and he was one of the lead singers in The Lion King. So he brings a lot of good stuff, and he's going to be here next week blessing us with his presence. So come by, invite your friends, and just hang out with us next week with Charles Holt. Also, if you'd like to get prayer right after our service, our chaplains are available. They're wearing the white stoles, and they'll be in the courtyard. So we invite you, if you have a challenge or something you want to celebrate, they're here to pray with you, and we appreciate their consciousness and all that they bring. And also just ask if anyone's online that's new, want to kind of stay in contact with Spiritual Life Center. There's a welcome card that you can fill out and just connect with us. But if anyone's here for the first time today, any first-timers here in person today? Yes, someone way in the back, someone way up front here. Well, thank you for your presence, and thank you for blessing us with your consciousness and your love and your energy. And you have a card if you'd like to fill out to stay in contact with us, you can do so. And if you want to get a special Spiritual Life Center greeting, you wear the purple ribbon. But thank you, and we affirm the most magnificence coming out of you and being expressed in our world, because we need you. At this time, I invite those who are online, watching live or a replay of this, to support Spiritual Life Center with your gift and financial offering. And you can do that by texting SLC Love to 44321, or go to our website, slcworld.org, and click the Donate tab, and you can give in other ways, including by mail. For those who are here today, we just invite you to take your gift or your love offering and symbolically raise it to the heavens. And also those who are online, if you want to help spread the word, just like us, follow us, comment about whatever you hear, and this will help spread the word about what our principles and teachings are about, so we can make a difference in our world. With that, I invite you to take those who are leaving a gift today or have already done so, online or by mail. And just know that you're in the flow of a principle that says whatever you give out does indeed come back to you in many different ways. So with that, let's affirm our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
We're living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, we're coming back to the holy ground that you always known. In the kingdom of love, there is no competition, no contradiction, and no control. But you can take possession and claim your passion, working on a building that cannot be bought or sold. I'm living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. We're living in the house of the soul's belonging, oh, coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. We'll step into the feeling of sweet surrender, wonder, let yourself remember who you are. You can take your own sweet time and ease your troubled mind in the secret sanctuary of your heart. But living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. We're living in the house of the soul's belonging. We're coming back to a holy ground that you've always known. There is room for all the kindness you can hold, and you know you can take it with you everywhere you go. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, well, you know without a doubt that you made it home. Living in the house of the soul belonging, yeah. We're coming back to the holy ground that you always known. We're coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. Yeah, you're coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. Thank you.
Well, we take this time to bless those and give thanks for those who have supported Spiritual Life Center with their gift, their financial offering, knowing it's providing a place for those to grow, develop, unfold, and realize their oneness with the Spirit of the living God and fulfill their potential in life and in our world. And we also bless those who have left prayers in the prayer box, recognizing that we all have challenges and bumps in the road in our life, things that we cannot figure out on our own devices. But there is a presence that we can lean on that has the answer even before we know what the question or prayer need is. Indeed, as that statement goes, before they call, I have already answered you. So the answer is present. And our job is simply to raise our awareness, our energy, our vibration, to be one with the answer, and then see how the Spirit shows up in ways that we never imagined. So we're blessing those who have these challenges because we know everything is to be enjoyed or learned from, and we find out what the learning is so we can realize who and what we are as expressions of the presence of God in this dimension. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Well, let's take this time then to simply affirm our prayer for protection and take in these words and know that they're truth that liberates us and sets us free, and take them in as if we're saying them for the first time and know that it is the truth. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. Let's sing our peace song. Peace and blessings. Enjoy the rest of the happy Father's Day, and enjoy some post-little music here from our music team.